Star 69 is on your line, so you can find out who you missed.
The best people, the best coverage. Kelly Day, only on KOIN 6 News.
CBS News exclusive. The U.S. learns who was behind a deadly terror attack, and it leaves the president with a tough decision. Did this town get Clinton pardons in exchange for votes? Prosecutors open another criminal probe. On the market watch, NASDAQ stocks caught in a tech wreck. And the investigation of Dale Earnhardt's death takes a surprising turn.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. One of CBS News' most experienced correspondents has exclusive new information for you tonight about a deadly act of terror against the United States, the bombing of a U.S. military housing complex in Saudi Arabia in 1996. The U.S. government has found out who was behind it. On the day of the attack, President Clinton vowed that the, quote, cowards who committed it would be punished. Any response now will be up to President Bush. CBS's Jim Stewart in Washington broke the story and has the exclusive details for you. Jim?
Dan, sources tell CBS News that federal investigators believe they now know who planned and carried out the Khobar Towers attack 4.5 years ago and are preparing to press Saudi Arabia to help them fill in the final pieces of the puzzle that could lead to the indictment naming some 24 suspects, including at least one official in Iran.
19 U.S. Air Force personnel were killed when a truck loaded with explosives pulled up outside their barracks in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia in 1996. Nearly 100 FBI agents spent up to a year on the case, but were eventually recalled when U.S. officials complained of a lack of cooperation from Saudi Arabia. Sources say approximately 11 months ago, however, investigators got a break in the case and now are awaiting only a few more pieces of evidence from Saudi Arabia before recommending an indictment. Sources say several of the suspects are in Iran, including one identified as Ahmed Sharifi, a senior member of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. How much of the case was developed independently by U.S. investigators and how much came from this man is not clear. Saudi citizen Hani al-Sayegh was arrested in Canada in 1997 and eventually agreed to tell the FBI about his role in the attack, only to recant and be returned to Saudi Arabia, where he is still in prison. The White House and Pentagon have been briefed on the case, and when the final elements are in place, Attorney General John Ashcroft is expected to present the findings to the president, who may face a difficult choice between legal actions and a military response. U.S. policy is already complicated because it's been encouraging new moderate leadership in Iran, where elections will be held in June.
The new emphasis on this case is in response, too, to the recent attack on the USS Cole. There's a strong sense among some senior officials that the time is long overdue to start pointing specific fingers of blame for the deaths of U.S. servicemen and women overseas. Dan?
Our story breaker in Washington, Jim Stewart. Whatever the president decides to do about Iran, the emerging Bush foreign policy includes some loosening, some easing of sanctions against Saddam Hussein's Iraq. And tonight at Camp David presidential retreat, Mr. Bush is hosting the leader of America's top ally, Britain. CBS News Chief White House correspondent John Roberts has more about all this. John?
Dan, White House officials today played down word of identified suspects and possible indictments in the Khobar Towers bombing, declaring that it was far too early in the investigation for such talk. It would also not confirm the alleged involvement of an Iranian official.
The Middle East was a dominant issue in today's first face-to-face meeting between President Bush and British Prime Minister Tony Blair. But it was Saddam Hussein and sanctions against Iraq that took center stage.
As you know, I made the famous statement that our sanctions are like Swiss cheese. That means they're not very effective.
1 week after they ordered a joint attack on Iraqi missile sites, the two leaders are trying to write a formula for sanctions that would squeeze the military but ease the crushing effect on Iraqi civilians. Mr. Bush was direct. He will hold a hard line against Saddam.
A change in a sanction regime that is not working should not be any kind of signal whatsoever to him that he should cross any line.
Mr. Bush was eager to portray a warm relationship with the Prime Minister. No one expects it will be the same that Blair shared with Clinton. The two were not only friends, but political soulmates. Ideological differences aside, Mr. Bush today pledged to remain close allies.
I can assure you that when either of us get in a bind, there will be a friend on the other end of the phone.
Even amongst friends, there are still prickly issues. Mr. Bush's proposal for a missile defense shield and Europe's plans for a joint military force outside of NATO. Neither issue was resolved, but the two leaders said they did go some distance toward bridging their differences. Dan?
John Roberts. With Iraq and Israel and now possibly Iran topping his agenda, Secretary of State Colin Powell is off tonight on a 4-day Middle East tour starting tomorrow in Egypt. Palestinian protesters know he's coming. They burned flags and pictures of President Bush and Israel's Prime Minister Barak today between clashes with Israeli troops. The U.S. Attorney here in New York, an appointee of President Clinton, kept on so far by President Bush, has just expanded her investigation of Mr. Clinton's last-minute pardons beyond the one he granted fugitive Mark Rich. CBS's Bob Orr has the latest on that.
The presidential pardon scandal is now reaching into a New York Hasidic community, with a U.S. attorney's investigation now questioning whether President Clinton traded clemency for votes benefiting his wife's Senate campaign. 4 men from the Jewish enclave of New Square, convicted of stealing government money, had their sentences reduced by the president 2.5 months after the town voted overwhelmingly for Mrs. Clinton. She got 1,400 votes. Her Republican opponent, Rick Lazio, 12. Mrs. Clinton campaigned in New Square in August. Those sources within the community say the issue of clemency for the 4 men never came up. It was discussed, sources say, at a White House meeting in December, where the president and Mrs. Clinton met some of the town's leaders. A spokesperson for the senator said she had nothing to say about the investigation, but in a news conference yesterday, she said she never directly lobbied her husband for any pardon.
There were many, many people who had an interest, a friend, a relative, but it was all passed on to the White House counsel's office, and they, along with the president, made the decision.
In Florida, Mrs. Clinton's brother, Hugh Rodham, appeared for the first time since it was revealed he took $400,000 to lobby for pardons for 2 convicted felons. Rodham made no comment as he drove from his home. But the treasurer of Mrs. Clinton's Senate campaign did talk today, saying he did nothing wrong in representing 2 other men who won pardons for tax fraud convictions. William Cunningham says he just filled out the paperwork. An old Clinton friend, Hollywood producer Harry Thomason, took it from there.
I was not the advocate. I think it's fair to say that Harry Thomason and other members of the Little Rock Arkansas community were the real advocates.
And there is still more. A spokesperson for President Clinton now says that his half-brother Roger Clinton also weighed in on the pardons. Roger petitioned the president on behalf of several friends. The spokesperson says all of the requests were turned down and Roger took no cash. Dan?
Bob Orr. For millions of Americans, it's now as automatic as tying a shoelace, the pull and click of buckling the seatbelt. And everyone from soccer moms to race car drivers has faith that in a crash, that belt could be a lifesaver. But as CBS's Bobby Harley reports tonight, it now appears that for racing champion Dale Earnhardt, somehow it may have failed.
In 52 years of racing, NASCAR says this has never happened before. A seatbelt breaking, taking the life of a driver.
When Dale Earnhardt put his seatbelt on to start the Daytona 500, I know the last thing on his mind was his seatbelt. He's put that seatbelt on that same way his whole life.
Like most NASCAR drivers, Kenny Wallace uses the same 5-point harness Dale Earnhardt did. But last Sunday, when Earnhardt hit the wall, NASCAR says his left lap belt broke, sending his head and chest into the steering wheel. NASCAR's known how Earnhardt died since then, but only revealed it today, refusing to say anything more.
But let me tell you one more time. All we know conclusively is that the belt came apart.
Ironically, Bill Simpson, the man whose safety devices drivers credit with saving their lives, designed the seatbelt Earnhardt's used for years. Simpson said he inspected the wrecked car and found he has no responsibility. He referred all questions to NASCAR, which is saying very little.
And we know more than you do right now, but we're still looking for answers.
Tonight, NASCAR's under far more than a caution flag. The entire auto industry is asking questions about exactly what happened inside Dale Earnhardt's car. Racing writer David Poole calls NASCAR a monopoly.
They hold all the cards, and they usually keep them fairly close to their vest. And whenever you get a chance to see what they've got, sometimes you may not be able to see the whole hand.
Earnhardt's son spoke for the first time in days.
just been a tough time. Had a lot of questions and things running around in our minds.
Even so, he'll still drive in NASCAR's Sunday race. Bobby Harley, CBS News, Rockingham, North Carolina.
On the CBS Market Watch, stocks closed mixed today. The Dow lost 84 points. The Nasdaq managed a rare gain, up 17. For the year, the Dow is off 3%, the Nasdaq down 8%. And remember 1999 when tech stocks drove the Nasdaq to a record 86% gain? Forget it. That entire gain all but gone. Anthony Mason has an example of what happened with one story of one tech caught in the wreck.
Yeah, you can give us a call back.
Eastfire, a small Virginia-based telephone company, was already fighting for its life when new CEO George Schmidt was brought in to try to rescue the business.
Our situation's pretty close to critical.
Then, as its stock slid from $15 down to 50 cents, the letter came from the NASDAQ. Eastfire was in danger of being delisted, taken off the exchange.
How'd you feel when you got the NASDAQ letter?
Shocked.
Eastfire is far from alone. According to a recent study, as the economy has cooled and the NASDAQ has nosedived, more than 250 companies are now in danger of being delisted. That's 5% of all the companies on the exchange.
Under NASDAQ rules, if a stock falls below $1 a share for more than a month, the company can be delisted. The effect, says Larry Haverty, can be devastating.
It's almost like moving into a hospice, and it's a precursor of very bad things financially. Bankruptcy is probably not too far away.
Schmidt has finally pushed Eastfire into the black, but the company will run out of cash in early April. He needs new financing, and 1,800 jobs are at stake.
2 years ago, banks were ready to throw money at you.
They did, too.
And now, they won't give you a nickel.
Nothing.
NASDAQ has given Eastfire an extension until April to raise some cash or raise its stock price.
So you have bought yourself some time.
We have.
But it's not a lot of time.
No, it's not. And timing right now is everything. But any one of the things flops out a week or two.
So Eastfire is on the edge. In this economy, George Schmidt knows he has a battle to keep his telephone company from being disconnected. Anthony Mason, CBS News, Herndon, Virginia.
Up next on the Friday CBS Evening News, Eye on America. What a teenager's science project revealed about the water some of you drink.
The CBS Evening News and tonight's Eye on America segment are sponsored by Aflac. Without it, no insurance is complete.
You know, you never know when you're going to get injured and miss work. That's why I have that supplemental insurance.
What supplemental insurance?
Aflac. It's one that pays you cash for things like lost pay and other expenses. Want one? Aflac. Just ask about it at work, right?
What did you say it was?
Aflac!
Aflac. Without it, no insurance is complete.
Introducing the only air freshener that's a gel and spray, all in one. New Glade Duet. When an ordinary spray won't do it, Duet. When a plain old gel won't do it, Duet. New Glade Duet. It's a gel for continuous freshness and a spray for a burst of fragrance, all in one. So when nothing else will do it, Duet. The only one that's 2-in-1. S.C. Johnson, a family company.
I want a really cool computer.
Call 1-800-GATEWAY.
I want speed.
933 megahertz, fast enough.
I want a humongous monitor.
Everything.
Everything.
And your budget?
$1,000.
Michael, a Gateway Essential PC with an Intel Pentium 3 processor, 17-inch monitor, free DVD or a printer is just $999.
1,000. Under.
At Gateway, we make it easy.
Dinner time?
No.
He hates peas. So I try little things here and there, like hiding some in his salad. Go for it.
I didn't make you mad.
And something tells me that eventually he'll learn to like them. Is it good?
Yeah, real good.
Cheese were the first step. Now we have some other things to work on.
Around here, the dressing is Kraft. Try Light done right. They took out half the fat, but left the taste.
Change is good. That's why if you deal with occasional loss of bladder control, improved poise pads are for you.
They've been redesigned for a close custom fit. First, they gently raise the center, bringing protection closer to you. Then, they change the shape, making one end wider than the other, so you can place the absorbency where you need it most. That's the beauty of this close custom fit, and only Boys has it. See? Change always does you good.
There's a follow-up to the FBI's arrest this week of one of its own agents for allegedly spying for the Kremlin. It turns out that arrest may also have cleared a CIA officer long suspected of being a double agent. The CIA man reportedly has been on paid leave since 1999, remaining the target of investigation even though he repeatedly passed lie detector tests of the sort that were not given to the accused FBI agent. It's a worrisome and potentially serious health and environmental issue that scientists are only now beginning to tackle. Antibiotics ending up in your drinking water and raising the prospect of more resistant super germs. A high school science project is given credit for focusing new attention on this danger. CBS's Thalia Ashuris reports tonight's Eye on America.
When 17-year-old Ashley Mulroy read that scientists in Europe found prescription drug residues in rivers and streams, her scientific curiosity sparked a question.
If they were being found over there, then couldn't the same thing be happening in America and even in my own backyard, which in this case would be the Ohio River?
For 10 weeks, she sampled water near her hometown of Moundsville, West Virginia, and found traces of antibiotics everywhere, even in her high school's drinking fountains.
So there were antibiotics in this?
Mm-hmm, yes.
That discovery surprised her, but there was more.
I started testing the bacteria in the same water samples, and I found that the higher contamination was producing a more resistant bacteria.
What turned up in a high school science project is part of the problem Dr. David Bell focuses on every day as head of the bacteria resistance program at the Centers for Disease Control.
The bugs are becoming more and more resistant, and we're always almost at the point where we can't treat them.
Bacteria that cause everything from ear infections to pneumonia are becoming immune to antibiotics. The primary cause is overuse and misuse by doctors and patients. But significant levels of antibiotics in water supplies could compound the problem.
I think it is an environmental issue. The question is how much of a public health hazard is due to the antibiotics that get into the environment. We don't really know the answer to that yet.
In Europe, scientists began studying drug-contaminated water more than a decade ago. What's surprising is that very little research has been done here, until now. In the first full-scale study, the U.S. Geological Survey is testing 150 rivers and streams nationwide, with results expected later this year. And in North Carolina, EPA chemist Joe Bumgarner started sampling the water in his own community when he heard about the continuing use of antibiotics in agriculture.
We have found antibiotics in the wastewater lagoons on the farms. We have found antibiotics in groundwater. We have found it in some cases in well water.
Bumgarner, now retired, is consulting for the EPA as he and other investigators try to find the answers to a newly emerging question.
If there's not a problem, then we can go on to something else. If there is, then we need to take action.
But you think there is a problem?
I think there is at least the potential, a very high potential of a problem.
Ashley Mulroy asked if antibiotics in one river might be cause for concern and won a prestigious science prize for her research. Now the same question waits for an official government answer. In Wheeling, West Virginia, I'm Thalia Ashuris for Eye on America.
On the CBS Weather Watch, a quick-moving winter storm that moved up the East Coast and left at least 13 dead in its wake. New York's Long Island dug out today from up to 5 inches of snow from yesterday's sudden storm. The snow and ice are blamed for a mammoth pileup on I-95 in Virginia involving 116 vehicles, and for other pileups in Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
Starkist needs to do what's never been done in the history of tuna. Something fresher tasting, really easy, fresher, easier.
I've got it! Fresher tasting Starkist tuna in a new easy-to-use pouch.
Introducing the new Starkist Flavor Fresh Pouch. It's better because it's more convenient. Just tear and use. No draining, no hassle. And it's vacuum sealed so it tastes better, fresher. The new Star-Kissed Flavor Fresh Pouch.
Our best ever.
Finally, you have a choice for fiber. Clinically proven to be as effective as Metamucil. Now there's chewable Fiber Choice. Just 2 tablets a day. With no spoon, no powder, no water, no glass. Call now for your free sample. Fiber Choice. Now there's a real choice.
My dry, itchy skin would flare up. I just wanted to hide.
Cordate helps heal and protect dry, itchy skin fast with maximum strength medicine and special moisturizers.
My skin was healed.
First aid, fast aid, Cordate.
Forbes magazine carefully evaluated over 1,000 mutual funds and chose this one to add to its honor roll. The Strong Opportunity Fund. Call 1-800-4STRONG. You're one call away from a strong portfolio.
Presenting the unshakable confidence of C-Bond denture adhesive. C-Bond denture adhesive has 100% more holding power than before, with 3 powerful adhesives in this comfort-thin seal. And cleanup's easy, so get unshakable confidence with C-Bond, with 100% more hold.
You choose to be healthy. You choose to be successful. You choose to give back. You choose to be yourself. The choices you want, the voice you need to make the most out of life. Today's AARP.
Police in Illinois are searching for an escaped convict who claimed God has asked him to kill abortion providers. Police set up roadblocks after Clayton Wagner escaped from the DeWitt County Jail through the ventilation system. During his trial on gun and other charges, Wagner said he'd been monitoring abortion clinics and doctors and stocking up on weapons. Overseas tonight, an International Olympic Committee delegation is wrapping up an inspection tour in China, which hopes to host the 2008 Summer Games. That hope faces a homegrown obstacle, China's own record on human rights, including its fierce campaign against the religious movement calling itself Falun Gong. CBS's Barry Peterson is on assignment in Beijing.
Over and over, Chinese television shows these pictures that shocked the world. People claiming to be Falun Gong members setting themselves on fire in Tiananmen Square. It's part of an escalating Chinese propaganda war. Every night, another dose on TV. This evil cult, says this woman, hurts its followers. There are petition drives against what authorities call the evil cult. Former members are shown thanking the government for rescuing them. But Falun Gong insists it is a spiritual movement, teaching exercises that replace doctors and medicine and shunning violence of any kind. What got them banned was this massive surprise protest. China's leaders stunned that any group can secretly rally thousands against the government. Since then, says Falun Gong, hundreds have been killed, tens of thousands arrested, including Feng Yuan's mother.
They are being, forced to, go through some kind of, physical, torture and also, mental brainwash, that type of things.
Chinese authorities, though, blame Falun Gong for hundreds of needless deaths, saying followers refused medical treatment. And the Chinese are furious at the U.S. for allowing Falun Gong's leader to live safely in America.
That is a decision against the human rights, because the Falun Gong really caused many people's deaths in this country.
The level of heated rhetoric around here has now reached the point where some commentators for the state-controlled press are suggesting that Falun Gong is really a CIA plot to bring down the Communist Party. But even more reasoned Chinese say that on this issue, America has no business taking the moral high ground. Look, they say, how America destroyed the Branch Davidian cult in a hail of gunfire. Falun Gong may be about religion, but the reaction by Chinese leaders is all about fear. Falun Gong is a reminder
that those who cannot be controlled still face the old Communist Party fallbacks, persecution, and death. On assignment in Beijing, I'm Barry Peterson.
A significant discovery in eye health may be lutein, a nutrient found in these healthy foods. Now Centrum has the only leading multivitamins with lutein to help maintain your precious sight. Centrum Silver, now more complete with lutein.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today.
Should have used Preparation H.
New Preparation H medicated wipes with aloe, the easy way to cleanse, cool, and soothe. Easier because they're 4 times bigger than Tux pads. New Preparation H medicated wipes. Big relief.
Hey, Jerry Stiller.
Where did you come from?
Enjoying your Post-Raisin Bran?
Every morning.
Know how many bowls of that it'd take to equal the vitamin nutrition in just 1 bowl of Total Raisin Bran?
I bet you're going to tell me.
4.
Holy moly.
Total Raisin Bran has 100% of 11 vitamins and minerals. Now including 100% calcium.
I'll take the Total Raisin Bran.
Now you're Mr. Nice Guy.
I want you out of here. The Total can stay.
Total, now with 100% calcium.
Hey, world, I'm back. Know that old saying about diarrhea? Just let it run its course. Why did I listen to that for so long? Today, I did what was right for my body. I took control. I took Imodium.
Why suffer when Imodium AD can stop diarrhea safely and gently, often in just 1 dose? Imodium AD. Restore yourself. New from the makers of Imodium, Probiotica, the dietary supplement that promotes digestive health.
Chrysler and Jeep vehicles continue to receive more and more and more awards. And now it's time to reward you with the Chrysler and Jeep Rewards program. Now for a limited time, get 0.9% APR financing on select Chrysler and Jeep vehicles. Reward yourself today with one of our award winners. And that's better than carrying around any trophy.
Oh, good morning. Morning.
Good morning.
Can we tell you about RX.com? Well, by ordering your medicine over the internet at RX.com, you can save a lot of money.
On what kinds of medicine?
Oh, on prescriptions and the things you use every day, like aspirin, vitamins, arthritis cream.
Do we look like we need arthritis cream?
No, actually, you don't. Really.
We're RX.com. We're pharmacists, we're online, and we're here to help you feel better.
You feeling the burn? I'm feeling the burn.
An aviation legend gets its engines back. We'll tell you when you can view the spruced up Spruce Goose on Coin 6 News. That's it.
How many times have you seen it? A driver tosses a cigarette from a car. A pedestrian drops one on the sidewalk. As if the smoldering litter magically disappears. It doesn't. A legislator in Maine now has a plan for removing this blight on the landscape. A 5-cent cigarette deposit. Return the used butt to the store, and you get the nickel back. Critics say this idea is frankly disgusting. Supporters say so are dirty streets. So to paraphrase a long-forgotten vice president, perhaps what this country needs is a good 5-cent cigarette deposit. And that's part of our world tonight. Bob Chief will be along Sunday morning with Face the Nation. Sunday night is 60 Minutes. Here's Ed Bradley with a question about that.
What does this lawyer mean when she says your genetic makeup, what makes you you, may belong to someone else? 60 Minutes, Sunday.
And we'll be back Monday with the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting from New York. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online at keyword CBS News.